In the last few years, Formula 1 has grown a lot, and with growth comes a lot of new fans. Fans that are younger and that often look to the top of the scoreboard to find someone to cheer for. The fact that Hamilton, Leclerc and Verstappen have a lot of fans is a given, considering that they are always close to the top. Had they raced towards the bottom, it would have been a very different thing. But what also has come with this growth is the insane disrespect to legendary careers that don't have the same scores but are just as valuable, if not even more. That disrespect is aimed at Fernando Alonso. Newer fans see him as this funny driver with funny radio lines and memes. El plan, leave the space, cut the chicken. But they don't know Fernando Alonso. They have no idea of what a beast he is, what his career would have been if just a couple of tiny things went a bit different. The truth is that Fernando Alonso's career in Formula 1 is a bit bittersweet if you are a true Formula 1 fan and not just a team or driver supporter. Sure, he's had a very successful career with 2 championships and 30 plus wins. It's only when you compare him to the other special drivers where you can feel that Formula 1 has not done justice to his talent. Some of it is his own fault for sure, especially with how he chose his teams, but without mistakes, nobody would know what the right path would be. Every generation can give you a driver that is special. Sure, every F1 driver is fast, that's why they are in Formula 1, except some, but not every driver has that special gift or special aura around them. The Ayrton Sennas, the Alain Prosts, the Michael Schumachers, the Lewis Hamiltons, the Max Verstappens, they are all gifts of their own generation. But in between Schumacher and Hamilton is Fernando Alonso. If a couple of tiny things play out differently over multiple years, you and the rest of the world would view Fernando Alonso in a very different way. He's already in the GOAT discussion just from how talented he is, but his achievements would also be there to match his talent. In 2005 and 2006, he won the championship with Renault after the FIA screwed over Ferrari with the tire war changes. In 2007, Kimi Räikkönen won the championship with 110 points in the last race in Brazil, with Hamilton and Alonso 1 point behind him. If 2 more points go his way in 2007, he would be a 3-time world champion and he would match the legendary Ayrton Senna. Fast forward a couple of years later to 2010. Sebastian Vettel wins the title in the last race in Abu Dhabi with 256 points. Behind him was Fernando Alonso on 252. Stuck behind Vitaly Petrov all race means he only finished P7. Vettel won the race, but had Alonso gotten past Petrov and finished P4, he would have won the title. 5 more points would have made the difference and he would have now been a 4-time world champion. That's a total of 7 points at this point. 2 years later, in 2012, the championship went to Sebastian Vettel again in the last race in Brazil, 281 points to Alonso's 278. Once again, a title is won in the last race of the season. Had Fernando scored 4 more points that year, he would have now today been a 5-time world champion. 11 points difference, 2 championships, 5 championships. Now it's easy to say in hindsight, and technically you could do this for every driver. Lewis could have won in 2007, 2016 and 2021 and today been a 10-time world champion if just another 17 points go his way over these years. But history will always look back at Lewis Hamilton as a very talented driver who's always had top-of-the-line machinery, up until 2022, which you could argue was capable since the car won a race and scored many podiums. Fernando Alonso has never had that luxury, but he always managed to keep it close, thanks to his talent. His 2005 championship had 7 wins. Kimi Räikkönen also had 7 wins that year. He had 7 wins in 2006 as well. Schumacher also had 7 wins that year. His Ferrari cars were a nightmare to drive, and yet he still found himself very close to titles against the insane machinery of Red Bull and Adrian Newey, and when you paired a young Sebastian Vettel with the best car on the grid, you knew he would win. The fact that the title went so close multiple times says more about Fernando Alonso than it says about Sebastian Vettel. The pain and suffering of those McLaren and Ferrari years in the late 2000s and the early 2010s, the latest stage in McLaren with Honda, and then the return to Alpine, no driver today has ever gone through that much bad machinery and still found the drive to compete and win or stay at a high level. As great as Lewis Hamilton is, as soon as you remove a good car from his hands, he does not do much. We've seen the last few years how his motivation has gone away. The first part of the 2023 season was a gift to us fans who know who Fernando Alonso is. The champion is still in there. Aston Martin may have not had the pace to win, but all those podiums, the crushing of his teammate Lance Stroll, who went close with Sebastian Vettel 2 years, the overtakes on the likes of Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz and Perez, it showed the newer fans just a tiny little glimpse of who Fernando Alonso actually is, what he can do. To be well over 40 years old and still pushing harder than most of the drivers half his age is unheard of. Fernando Alonso is chasing something that is not a championship. He wants to keep going as long as he can. He wants to cement his name in Formula 1 forever. He has 2 championships, sure, but people will forget. They can't forget if he's the driver that's been there the longest. They can't forget if he outlasts drivers that have won more than him. They can't forget if the newer cars gives him a tiny little chance of winning again. To the newer fans, yes, he does not have the championships of Hamilton, Schumacher, Vettel and Verstappen, and he probably never will win again, but without a shadow of a doubt, he should be in that discussion for who the greatest of all time is. At the very least, he has deserved that. Hope you enjoyed the video, leave a like if you did, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, goodbye.